It's a wickedness in our country. Bad my people have the untied down. It's a wickedness in our country.
Yeah.
In our country, bad my people have
Yeah.
the untied
Yeah.
down. It's a
Yeah.
wickedness
Yeah.
in our country.
They got it.
Identify
Hey,
personality.
man.
We alone.
A
One
lot of
wickedness.
weakness out there,
Kenya
man. A lot of
victory.
wickedness out there, man. Man, peace and blessings, family. It's your brother Atum Ra. Man, we got the back to back going on today. You know what I'm saying? And we feeling pretty good, man. I had to build with a lot today and do the knowledge radio. And shout out to everybody that had a chance to check that out. It's up on YouTube now. We're gonna have it up on Facebook soon. But if you tuned into that interview and you heard all of the names that that brother dropped, because he works with so many people within media, inside and outside the conscious community. One name that he threw out to me before and during the interview, what I'm saying, was, the next guest that I have on the show today, man. This brother here, man. He means a lot to me in a lot of different ways. Not only because I've had the opportunity on multiple occasions to sit and watch him work, and do what he does, and do what he does best. As far as it relates to the media, but he's also a brother that um, is unselfish with his time, unselfish with his talents. And, I watch him in so many different ways, use his light and use the things that he know to build people up. And, I can definitely say, without, feeling any type of way, I've built a lot of things that I do on my platforms after, what I'm saying, the model that my big homie has built with conscious mindset, and what I'm saying, everything that he does. He is the ultimate collaborator,
Wow, thank you.
and probably the dopest hype man that you could ever have on your team. And I think you should consider doing some consulting services for being a hype man. You know what I'm saying? Because you are that man. The one and only brother Sid, man. What's up, baby?
Hey, man, I appreciate those wonderful words, man. And, just to convey what Dr. Thomas Freeman used to say at the wonderful and illustrious Texas Southern University, he would always say, if someone says something nice about you, even if it's not true, just say thank you. And I really mean that, man, because it means a lot to know that you have individuals of your profundity and really just being used by the Spirit to do amazing and truly astounding and stellar things. You are truly a minister of information. You help so many people, and you are a light to so many people in and around the world. And for you to find some semblance, some inklage of importance in what I'm doing, then I know that that's all credit to the Creator and the ancestors that have given us the opportunity to do it. So I'm inspired by you, and I'm motivated that you would even take time out of your busy schedule to let little old me come on for a conversation. And the reason why I say it that way, a lot of people say, "Are you denigrating yourself? You need to speak up on yourself." But no, I understand that I am because we are. And I know that Brother Lloyd used to tell me all the time, it's not about I. It's not about me. It's about we. It's about us. It's about the unity of our people being on display. And it most needs to be on display in the media, in the messages that we send. And the messages that we send, brother, they don't just exist now. Like, this might be on YouTube in an hour or 2 hours later, but it'll be there until perpetuity. See, and it might be a kid 20, 30 years from now that stumbles up on this conversation and says, "Wow, Atum Ra, that was a bad brother, man." And he go punch up and see your work and see how it worked. and see the fruits of your labor. So when we understand our power, we realize that the things that we're doing are powerful. And that's not because of us, that's because of those that laid the track record for us to walk on. You know, for those that blazed the trail for us to walk on. So we're recognizing that the Spirit is with us, that the ancestors have guided us, and that we are just merely fulfilling our part of this wonderful and beautiful prophecy that Bob Marley said, you got to fulfill the book. All we doing is what we're supposed to do, man, and we're doing it better, hopefully, than we did yesterday, and we'll do it even better tomorrow. And I know that's part and parcel of what you're about, and that's why I love Melanated and Illuminated. I want everyone to go follow it on IG, go check it out on Facebook, go and punch it in your search bar on your engine. Do all of those things, because the more we acclimate ourselves with powerful and amazing messages, the more we realize how amazing and powerful we are. Power in, power out. I know we love to say garbage in, garbage out, but we're changing and transforming.
There we go. There we go.
Things that we release out our mouth. So power in, power out.
For sure, for sure. Well, man, you know, you are the host of the prolific and profound revolutionary sound, conscious mindset. You know, anybody that has been on melanatedilluminated.com, you know, you will see conscious mindset on there. And, you know, I know the people that's been following me is no stranger to conscious mindset, but you know what I'm saying, for those that are new to it, man, let the people know what you do with conscious mindset.
Thank you, brother. We've been doing the show almost 6 years, and you know, it really was spawned out of a show that came before by Obadike Kamal, Dr. Obadike Kamal, who is a legend in the radio game and also in the community for doing some powerful, positive things to uplift the images of our people. And he had a program called Self-Determination, and it was solely rooted in getting us to realize that we are the ones we're waiting for, waited on, and there's no more time to wait or waste. We have 86,400 seconds, 1,440 minutes, and this is the present, and it truly is a gift. But it's not a gift to be given, it's a gift to give. It's a gift to serve, not to be served. So to take out our ego, to take out our vanity, to take out all of the falsities that have been imparted, implanted, and conditioned in our ego to make it about us. No, make it about the people. So Conscious Mindset is striving each and every show on Sunday nights, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. If you're in H-Town on 90.1 or anywhere on the World Wide Web at kpft.org. And also on Facebook, you can tap in Conscious Mindset and you'll find us. What we're striving to do is to bring melanation. We're striving to bring individuals who understand the cognition and the metacognition that's thinking about thinking to be able to realize that if we don't understand how powerful this message maker, how powerful this machine is between our ears is, if we don't tap into that and we don't realize that now is the time and the season for us to use our full capacities, capabilities, sagacity, tenacity, and intensity to be able to create the kind of reality that's worthy of our beautiful children to live in, to nourish in, to replenish in, and to enrich the earth, because I firmly believe and testify, according to many of the spiritual systems and texts, that if you look at the image of love, if you look at God in the flesh, you're looking right at yourself. You know what I'm saying? So be able to manifest that, not just with our words, but in deed. Yes, in our deeds, and begin to put those things into manifestation, because our people need it. As I was saying to you before the opening of the show, 193 years ago, March 1827, Reverend Peter Williams Jr. and other brothers and sisters. He's the name, as I told you, on the paper, but there was a lot of brothers and sisters doing more than just paperwork. They were working to educate our people, to enlighten our people, and to be an example of the greatness of our people. Came together and created a newspaper, the first African-American newspaper in the United States in 1827. It was called the Freedom Journal. I want to say it was called the Freedom Journal because having media is a form and formation for freedom. express yourself and to be able to show yourself in its full dimensions and its full expressions and the full register of its reality is essential, is critical, and it creates you into the future. Many people,
Right.
what do I mean create you in the future? Because the history is the predecessor of the present.
Right.
And the present is the creator of the future. And when you have a full understanding and a keen and clear concept and vision of all three of those things, then you begin to manifest and you begin to be the director or the captain of your ship, so to speak. And the reason why I bring that up is they didn't create that formation to showcase what was hottest in European fashion. No, they didn't create that to show which Negro's house was bigger or better. No, they didn't do that to show who had the most degrees in education. They did that to combat the negative images and stereotypes, the caricatures that the New York press and other press formations were showing and showcasing our people to get us to believe in the denigration, to get us to believe in the deprivation, to get us to believe in the Plessy versus Ferguson that was later ruled on. We were not only separate, but we were unequal. That we were incapable, that we were filled with disparities, that we were filled with diseases, so that when it gets found out that we are the most susceptible to a disease, we not only believe it, it confirms a belief that's already been rooted in us. And that's important for us to understand. It's not an accident these things are happening. It's by design. It's by programming. When you turn on the TV, and they tell you what you're watching, and I know our people are watching more TV than any other demographic on the planet.
Facts.
55 hours of TV every single week, 10 to 11 hours of television every single day, and it's telling lies to our vision constantly. And it's no wonder.
Every day, all day.
Go ahead, brother. I didn't mean to cut you off, but.
Oh, yeah, no, I was just saying every day, all day. Like you said, line to it.
And it's increasing exponentially because not only do we watch TV at home or in our place of business, but we are watching it on our phones.
Right.
We are using nearly 30 hours a week on applications or social media activities and the like on our phones. We have 96% of our population has a smartphone. 96% of our population has a smartphone. We have less than $1,700 in the bank. Matter of fact, over 80% of us cannot afford an emergency of $400.
Right, I saw that.
All of us have a smartphone in our pocket that can create not only the money that we are missing, but it can create opportunities for us to get information, knowledge, and activities that will change and transform our lives. Now, why do I say that? I'll close so you can jump in, brother. You know, I'm loquacious, man. Just cut me off. When
No. Go ahead. Now, this is why I got you on. This is why I got you on. We need this.
This is critical because when we look at, we are watching TV and tell lies to our vision is giving us constant and consistent images of negativity, making us afraid and fearful of our people. Do you know this is probably the first month in the history of our people in this country to where we chose not to hug each other, to where we chose not to hold each other, to where we chose not to touch each other, to where we socially distanced from each other, even though we're social creatures.
Right.
And that was one of the first barriers that they had to destroy was our ability to connect with one another, to be each other's brother and sister. That's not just something we say. That's just not a colloquialism.
Right.
That is an expression that we express to show connection, to show that we are one, to show that we have experienced a Ma'afa that no one on the planet can relate to. No one on the planet can compare or resemble that division and that divisiveness that was put in us that made us separate families to where you literally could have a cousin, an auntie, an uncle anywhere in the world. So we say brother, sister, because you are connected. You are connected. And now we have become infected with the tell lies to our vision to make us fearful of each other even more than we've already been. And I give this example about the dangers of television, because I know some people say, man, television, my favorite friend, man. You know, I
right.
Report that, 6 out of 10 African Americans are not only watching it, but a large portion of that believe everything they see on it, believe it or not.
Right.
And the about it is this, is that as we sit back and we look at it, all of the images that are being conveyed to us, the things that are being displayed to us, those narratives are primarily not even controlled by us. We are learning about ourselves from the pen and from the mind of someone else. We don't think about this because we're talking about the crime bill that Joe Biden did, and we're talking about all of these other things that need discussion. But we also need to talk about what Bill Clinton did in 1996 with the Telecommunications Act that deregulated media and gobbled up all of these small local stations, whether it be radio, whether it be print, whether it be any other form of information. And we're able to let the Viacoms, and I bring up Viacom because they took over ownership and control of
gobbled up everything.
Right. And from that moment in time, and I know I could say this with clarity. If you were alive and of a certain age, there was a program that you watched, whether it was Teen Summit, whether it was Tigger in the
basement, 106 in Park.
106 in Park. You watch these shows. These shows were examples of Black life, and also we connected with them on a deeper level than just visceral. It was psychological. So to see Black entertainment become controlled by those that don't look like you and definitely don't have your best interest, you've seen a change. It went from where you saw Ed Gordon giving interviews, whether it be from Tupac or some physical or public dignitarian, to Uncut, to where Nelly is wiping a car. Young ladies, you know what? So that change in transformation has led us to where you have a mis and disinformation. And I'm not saying that that's the only thing. I'm using that anecdotally to say that's an example of the experience that we're in. And many of us would say, oh, Sed, man, we got so many outlets. We got this, we got that. But the same thing exists. It might not be controlled, and more than likely it's not, by Black hands. Because even in us controlling almost on the landscape of the media, it being some 60 to 70% of the people watching, participating, commenting, talking. But each and every year, the advertising dollars, which control the media entity, advertising controls the shows you see, controls the things that you watch. Every year, the dollars drop. And just last year, in 2018 to be exact, and then 2019 as well, there was a 5% drop. And 5% might not seem like a lot, but that's 30 or 40 $million, okay, that Black media specifically needs, because we suffer from that. And that's one of the things that hurts us is that we don't have the resources to be able to get our messages heard and our words conveyed, to be able to heal our people with the great things that we have to show and say.
For sure. Let me ask you, what are some things that people could do, you know what I'm saying, if they're interested in getting their voice out there and, you know what I'm saying, connecting with the people?
Well, before you get your voice out there, make sure your voice is your own voice. And make sure your voice is a voice worthy of being heard. I know that sounds strange. I know that's probably not what people want to hear.
Facts.
But we have a lot of voices out there that I don't think that they reflect the voice of the people. And now, if you just want to do your thing, you want to get out there, of course, you know, there are more apparatuses now for you to be heard than ever. You can use this StreamYard. You can use a list and litany of live streaming and podcasting. Every day I see somebody popping up doing another one. And that's beautiful. And I applaud and I appreciate it. But again, I go back to the beginning of African-American newspaper, Freedom Journal. in the predicament that we're in, being disproportionately ravaged by every pandemic that hits this country and any country you look there at, being at the bottom of the economic totem pole, being very close to the bottom in the political scale as far as power and resources are divvied up in business as well. We need the kind of voices that are going to speak to these things so that those other things, those ancillary things, which are important, which are critical. We need to know what Young Thug and French Montana are beefing about. We need to know about that too. But we need to make sure that there's balance.
Balance.
You know what I'm saying? And that we are spending business hours dealing with the most pertinent and important business. That we're not spending our time away like children on the playground in recess. We need to spend more time in the classroom and more time in the lecture experience, more time in the group work, collaborative, collective experience, rather than the debate experience. Right? Rather than the divisive experience, and rather than just running outside, running with a football. You understand? So those things are things that we're gravitating to, those things that our time is being consumed with. And that's one of the reasons why we're suffering economically, to where they'll say it'll be 228 years. And when the statistics come out again, it's going to go up higher. Because we're not given the tools. People always say knowledge is power, and they forget to add the critical component. Knowledge plus the correct actions equal the opportunity to achieve power. It's not a guarantee. So what it has to require is that you have the right desire, that you are focused, and that your fire is not being fulfilled from outward desires, but it's something that's inward, something that is intuitive. And that goes back to your question in terms of finding your voice. See, you have to find yourself. And when you find yourself, then your voice can be the most powerful expression you can express. Because, man, when you say it, not only is it heard by others, it's also heard by you. Heard things that you said in your head. So that process not only is something powerful for you to express to others, but it's extremely powerful for yourself. So that when you express your voice, you need to make sure that you are voicing things that are accurate, that are factual, that are effective, and that add to the positive image of your people. Instead of getting on here talking about what I don't like and who I don't like and who I want to expose. Use of my voice. The best use of my voice is something that's going to help my people with issues, concerns, and problems that are affecting our ability to not only survive, but to thrive. We don't just want to survive. We want to thrive. And to do that, we have to be able to have the kind of voices that understand our value and realize that if we don't value us, no one else will, brother. You know what I'm saying? So I guess that's basically what I'm saying, is that if we don't get to the point to start voicing some of the things that are critical and important, and I want to say this real quick, because did you know that this SBA, this funding, all of the funding that was associated with coronavirus and the bill that was laid down, do you know that Congress had laid out about $10 million to what they call the Minority Business Development Program and Association Agency, and out of that 10 million, guess how much Black folk got?
I wouldn't even say a million.
1%.
Damn.
1%, and that's 10 million. Now there were $2.2 trillion that were given courtesy of these bills and courtesy of these things that were transpiring. But 1% was given to Black businesses. And why I say that, why do I bring that up? I bring that up to say we didn't hear about it. We didn't know, most of us didn't know that if you'd have went to the SBA and you fill out the paperwork, you could have applied for a grant that would have given you $1,000. And most of us were thinking, oh, you got to have an LLC, you got to you got to be all this and all that. Man, they were taking side hustles, they were taking contractors, they were taking 1099s.
Right.
That's the kind of information that has to be voiced. And we can't learn about it right now. Like people are going to be saying, oh, that's deep. He knew that. I should have been saying that 2 weeks ago. But I didn't know. You understand what I'm saying? I didn't know until about 2 weeks ago, a week ago. And I was trying to get it out to as many people as I could. But the larger platforms, that's why they have a greater responsibility. And that's why I go back to the voice is that you have to not only hear your voice, but you have to also hear the voices of others so that you can bring them on and expose them to people, expose them to ears, expose them to hearts that need to hear what they have to share. So I know that's a long answer, brother.
Oh yeah. No. That's just.
I want people to get their mind right.
Yeah.
Guaranteed your voice will be right on time.
For sure, man. Let me ask you, man, because it seems like that since the corona pandemic has hit, the 2020 election seems to have just kind of stopped in its tracks. Before, it was corona. It was Democratic primary, 20 people fighting each other. And coincidentally, everybody pretty much dropped out before the pandemic hit. Because, I just kind of think about it. If all those people were still in the race, it might actually be more even because, while people run out of money flying around the country, doing rallies, booking events, and now everybody's pretty much trying to do everything online. And, Trump's been doing his daily press rants, and we haven't heard much from the presumptive nominee and Joe Biden. So where should the interest of the community lie within this 2020 election year?
It should not rely at all with the 2020 election. It should not rely because it's wasting valuable energy and time. Okay. And I know that sounds crazy from somebody who, is telling people to vote. And I think that voting is essential.
Right.
But I think that voting with your interest is more important. And when you vote with your interest, you go to the ballot box, not hoping that he will do something or she will do something for you, but you have a mandate and demand with you to ensure that whoever gets elected, we gonna win.
Right.
That's where the messaging comes in. That's where I'm not a political scientist. I'm not even a man, but I have a understanding and knowing it doesn't matter who gets elected. My interests are going to be respected. Why? Because that's in my message. I'm a message. My message is essential. And whoever can fulfill that message, that's who gets my vote. And if they don't fulfill that message, I'm not going to wait to get them out of office. I'm going to do everything in the power as a citizen, as a constituent, to ensure that they understand that my needs and my message must be met. So stop thinking about the election. Start thinking about what's going on and what's happening. So every single day, Trump is coming on. Trump has benefited from more media coverage than any president in the history of this country.
Thanks.
I'll say that again. He has benefited from more media than any individual in the history of American politics, even more so than Obama. He was on CBS all the time. He was on NBC all the time. He was on ABC. He's on CNN all the time. Why? Because he's a cash cow.
Right.
They make money off him.
Right. No, for sure they all do.
They make money off him because either you love him or you what? Hate him.
Hate him. Right.
You're gonna watch. He said during some of the press conferences, I'm man, it's more people watching this than anything.
Well, if we watch this than The Bachelor.
So what he's saying is he's letting you know that I am a star, and we live in a star worshiping culture. We live in a star aggrandizing culture.
Right.
We buy most of the stuff we buy, not because it's any good, but because someone we're emotionally connected to tells us to buy it.
Right. They endorse it.
They endorse it. Got that whip appeal. You understand?
Right.
So the thing about it is this, is that whether we realize it or not, in talking about this, we're only talking about problems. We have to start talking about our message.
Right.
I'm not worried about Trump. I know what Trump is. I know why Trump is there. I'm not worried about Biden. Now, what I'm concerned about is the fact that those are telling me to vote for Biden are not telling Biden to speak up for African-American people who put him in that position. And there was something we talked about in terms of people dropping out. I don't look at it like they dropped out. They realized that Black people had dropped them.
Right. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And think, what was his name? Buttigieg. He saw that. Like, no matter how much they tried to push him to the forefront.
Bernie saw that. Bernie saw that.
Bernie too. Yeah.
It wasn't a money thing. Buttigieg had money. He was giving out, man, they had situations where he get $900 wine at his events.
Right.
It was money everywhere. The goose was flowing and pulling and going, man. It was money everywhere. But they did not have the most important demographic in the Democratic demographic. Or I was going to say a voting block, but we don't understand the power of voting. That's why I'm saying don't worry about voting. Voting is not getting someone elected. Voting is having a message and saying whoever is going to follow this message and agenda, they're the ones who get our vote. And if they don't, they get voted out. That's a voter.
Correct.
That is a voter.
Correct.
We are pseudo voters. We stand in the wrong lines. We get stressed out. We don't know who we're going to vote for. We don't want to vote for him, but they're telling us if we vote for this guy, it's hell. But we're going to heaven either way it goes.
Right.
So that's not a voter. That's someone who is a pseudo voter. You are doing actions, but you're not getting anything from the deed.
Right.
Obama had 96% of the African-American vote. And the African-American, I know they try to act like it was the Reagan Democrats in the middle. But there were Black people they didn't even know existed on the rolls that voted. They didn't even know they existed on Earth. And they voted. They were coming out the woodwork. They never seen it before like that. They realized that this was a whole different ball game. And they tried to beat him and defeat him with Mitt Romney and Paul Ryan, and they got disastrously blown out. And they realized and they knew and they understood they had to begin to decimate. They had to begin to decimate all the little protections that existed, the Civil Rights Act bill, and they gutted that. They had to begin to destroy and gerrymander in local and congressional elections to take over most of the houses of the state governments. They did that. And in doing that, they've been able to extrapolate all the advances that we made from the 60s and really, for the most part in the 90s, even though the crime bill existed. And let me say this about the crime bill. And I'm going to go in detail in this because a lot of people don't talk about it, they don't understand it. But the crime bill was not the worst thing Joe Biden did because Reagan's bill was even worse prior to. What Reagan did was abominable. And what they did was the same kind of detrimental activity to our people, right? But it was supposed to be a kindness, meaning we're going to shoot you instead of with the AK-47, we're going to shoot you with the revolver, all right? So less of a painless death. That doesn't use that. But what people never talk about, and they need to understand, is what he did in the deregulation of the credit card companies. And
speak on that.
Sending them to Delaware and places that had no to little regulation, no to little oversight, and seeing how Black people were excluded and precluded and pushed toward taking some of the worst interest rates, which created some of the worst debt you ever seen. Your mama, my mama, we still paying for credit. We still paying for credit that they got in the 80s.
20-something% interest.
29%, 39%. And you and I got student loans that 39%, 20%, all of this madness. Put us in debt. And what do they say? Even in some of the spiritual texts, many of you all believe in and read. A slave because of a debt. So that is something that was put in place because neoliberal ideology and policy is pure and unadulterated capitalism with a smile. That's all it is.
Right.
Republicans are capitalists with fangs, and the Democrats are capitalists with the smile. But even the most exploited and the most vulnerable will be perpetuated into an ever bottom caste. And this is important when I say all this, is because these are the kinds of conversations that we have to be having.
Right.
Talk about the last dance, but we're going to be on our last dance if we don't get this and we don't get the clarity that we need to understand.
Right.
Things are still going on. It's just changed shape and form. But the message is changing. We want to keep you in the bottom caste.
Right.
We want to keep you divided to where if any brother says anything that's intelligent, you're going to have 4 or 5 brothers disrespecting him, talking about what he did in '86, saying who his mama was, to disparage his image. When the purpose of Black media, when it began as a newspaper with the Freedom Journal in 1827, was to combat the negative portrayals, or as I said, betrayals, that the white media was putting on African Americans. Because if we understand anything, we remember what Sprite told us. They said, image is what? If you remember that, I don't know if you remember, they say thirst is everything. Nothing. Oh, we know image is what? Everything. Everything. And our media has been co-opted, has been controlled and capitulated to showing us in a negative image, to where our young men, they have their pants hanging down and they don't even know why.
Right.
You ask them, say, man, why you got your, well, come on, man, why you got your stuff hanging out? Hey, man, it's just what I do. No, it's not. It's what you've seen done. And I want to say, to get back on BT, and I apologize for going all over, but that I say this, man. Do you know the film that they play the most is Boys in the Hood? It's to society now. I said to myself, what in the hell is going on? Don't get me wrong, man. I love that music.
The classics.
But if we're honest about it, most of us who are my age, man, you too, you know what I'm saying? We had to sneak and listen to that. You couldn't listen to that with your people.
Right.
That was a guilty pleasure. You know what I'm saying? And those brothers, from Snoop to Ice to all those brothers, man, no disrespect, no shade on them, but they know they didn't live that life that they tried to portray to us.
Right.
They didn't live that life. They've said it. They did that because of the media.
Right.
They did that because of images.
Right.
20 years later, that's what young people are living in.
Right. And we see
what's in the past. We're not gonna take responsibility for that. And we're not gonna we let these kids astray. Where a young man will say out his mouth, he'll say, hey man, it's nothing but evil around me. It's nothing but a hood. It's nothing but destruction around me. And now you have black men. You have black men that'll get on and say, man, you know, just find something positive, you know, or just hope that things will change. Man, change occurs not just because you want it to occur. You have to make it occur.
Facts.
You got to give those young people something that's tangible that they can hold on,
that
they can believe in, that they can see.
Facts.
That's concrete. And if you don't do that, man, it's just lip service.
For sure.
Set them up for failure, man.
For sure.
Put that honestly on the chin and say, man, we set our youngsters up for failure. You see what I'm saying?
For sure. And we got youngsters today, kind of like you said, that they don't even use drugs, and they gotta act like they use drugs in order because they think that that's what's popular.
Absolutely,
and that's what they need to do that in order for people to like them. Even though, like I said, several of them will come out and be like, I don't pop no Mollies or no X or none of that.
They don't even know what it is.
Right, but I know that you know, people gonna like it. You know what I'm saying? If I make some songs, and that's crazy the way like you gotta act like a drug addict to be cool.
That's right. And guess what? Watch. This generation is gonna act. The next generation is not going to act. They're gonna be it.
Right. Right.
Just
gotta
like
be authentic.
we was acting like that, like Ice Cube and like Snoop. We was acting like that, even though that wasn't us by and large.
Right.
And now you see youngsters, they want to be that. That's what they are. They have that. That's the when they go in the menu of choices of personalities and lifestyles. That's right there up front. You know,
sure.
That's right there. They can pull that one right out and they can go right into that mode. But to be intelligent and to be, you know, something constructive and productive, man, they got to go way in the back of the cafeteria. They got to, you know what I'm saying? They got to do everything they can do to find that. And then they have to deal with the reality of being the black sheep. You see? Right. So we have not looked at this because in the research that the Pew Center did, they found that fake news, where it was on the top of the list in terms of white folk, it was, you know, number 3, somewhere number 3, number 4, but it was number 11 to black people. So they found that almost 70% of black people that watch what they watch trust the news. They trust what they see. Right. And they don't believe in fake news. But we see it. That the narratives that have been given on these instruments are not coming authentically and organically from us.
For sure.
And then those entities like this that represent images, imagery, indentations from us don't get honored and respected to the same. Man, you know what, brother? I'm going to be honest with you. It's people that love you to death and they'll never share this.
For sure. For sure.
And won't even think nothing of it. And they're not doing it to disrespect you.
Right.
They're not doing it because they hate you. They're not doing it because they don't respect what you're doing. They do all of those things. But they have not been inculcated to say, it's my responsibility to carry this on. It's my duty to share this. Not only on my social media, but in my immediate circle. So we have these dialogues and conversations. It's almost like what happens is in our particular experience, you have these moments and it's that moment of message. Foolishness. You see what I'm saying? We get back to the nonsense. We have that moment of clarity, that moment of, man, that was deep.
Right.
Party bull.
Back to the bullshit.
You go back to the bull. And what has to root and really become confirmed in us is that it is okay for us to be who we are. And we don't have to turn it down. We don't have to turn it up. We can just turn it on and let it be what it is, because it's so important, man, as I say these things, because I know you've been watching the programs. I know you've been, you know, seeing the information being put out there. I know everybody's been talking about it and everybody's been discussing it about the disparities and got everybody scared of Corona and all of this and all of that. But man, the solutions are quite simple, man. I mean, it's scary how simple it is because the logic of it is this, is we are a people, a spiritual people, as they say, right? And many of us have gravitated to different spiritual systems, and that's beautiful, and that's fine, right? But in all spiritual systems, it's an invisible force of some sort, right? Even in intelligent design, they say there was a big bang, right? That no entity could see, right? Even if you believe in Ebo, those things were manifested before the human eye could witness it, right? And now we're seeing people afraid and scared of something they can't see, they call COVID-19, which is caused by the coronavirus. And I say, if we had this kind of faith in ourselves that we have given over to COVID-19, over to Corona, do you think that, right? If we had the kind of fear in loving each other, in respecting each other, in protecting each other, if we had that kind of operation, There's no thing that could come against us, man.
Right.
So and that's not just rhetoric. That's not just conjecture. That's facts, man.
Right.
For us to be able to create a media force that led to the ideas that inspired folk to say, you know what, slavery's wrong. You know what? It's okay for us to be intelligent. And you got to think about this, brother. It was probably more brothers reading more books when it was against the law for us to read than now we are so-called free.
Right, right.
Man,
ain't that crazy?
Man, but it's by design because the messages tell you that you are something that you are not. The messages indicate to you that being cool is being a fool. The messages tell your women to gravitate to someone who has wealth that they don't even own. Think about that. The women are not gravitating to men who have true wealth, because true wealth comes from being yourself.
Right.
No, they have wealth that's given to them to impersonate someone that they hate. Someone that they have alienated themselves to be. And they are given the respect. When you know, and any entity on this planet knows, there's no greater respect than respecting yourself.
That's the highest form.
Man, I'm telling you, if you're telling your young people to do things that you wouldn't tell your daughters to do, these guys that's doing this nonsense that we see constantly and consistently, they don't tell their children to do that. They tell them to do the opposite.
Right. Go to school, get an education, go to college.
Pills and get on lean and bar. They're not doing that. They're telling them not to do that. But they tell your kids to, and your kids do it. My kids do it. And we get influenced by it, and we get fooled by it. And we have to start not only denying that that is wrong or saying that that is wrong and not accepting it, but we have to understand why it's in operation. And I'll say this, social media is the new wave. You know what I'm saying? This is going to be on it, and you know, everybody's going to be on it. And we have to start looking at, we are the main consumers of it.
Right.
Facebook has been known for not even hiring us.
Right. And making millions off of our searches and our data and how we track and use.
Yeah. And we don't even think about that. We don't let think about it, man. When Black people went away from MySpace, that's when MySpace died. When Tom stopped having and you know what I'm saying? When they dipped, it's over. Facebook is one of the most powerful and popular entities in the world. It got over 2.1 billion people tapped in. And I guarantee if melanated people said, man, we're chilling for one day, the whole thing collapses. It crumbles. We make up the largest percentage of the essential workers, brother. You see what I'm saying? And many were complaining and criticizing, saying that they shouldn't get $15 an hour, blah, blah, blah. And those were the people that were keeping us together. Those were the very people that were protecting us. And I think that, and this is important, this is where media comes in. The media should have been saying, hey, these workers need hazard pay.
Right. From the jump.
They need their taxes rebated, or they need grants so that they can begin to take care of the things that they need to take care of, because they're putting themselves on the front lines. They don't need a free meal. That's nice, but they need kind of incentive that can redistribute wealth, because they are putting their lives on the line. You understand? So that's where media, that's where messaging comes in. Instead of getting on talking about what was on Netflix and Tiger King, you're talking about how we need to protect our kings and queens who are putting their lives on the line.
Right. All day.
Everything they can to protect and serve their community that is leaving them disenfranchised and in jeopardy of dying. And I go to this, and I think it's important that we spend some time on this and discuss this and talk about this, is that those entities, and this is really important, man. This is really important. Those entities that exist that serve Black people, how in the world do you have Black celebrities and so-called notorieties not wanting to come on those platforms? I mean, let's keep it real. It is very difficult to get our own people to come on our platforms.
For sure.
Brothers and sisters who I won't mention their name.
Right.
They'll know who I'm talking about because I know they watch and they listen. But they will tell you, you need to have 1 million people for me to come on your platform. What Black entity has 1 million people? Not Black owned. You might have Black people in front of the microphone, but Black owned. The largest paper in this country at one time was in St. Louis. It had a circulation of 50,000. We don't support each other like that, man. They know that.
For sure. For sure.
You know what I'm saying? So when I applaud the brothers and sisters who do take their time to come on Black media and support Black media the way it needs to be supported, not only with an interview, which is extremely important. We'll take that, right? But more importantly, with the fiscal and
the resources.
Yes, the resources. So that, guess what? When they come against you because you say, no, you're not doing that role, or no, you're not saying that, or no, you're not dancing, getting in that dress, you have somebody to protect you.
Right.
You have somebody that will market your products. When they get tired of you, when you no longer are on the red carpet, when they don't have you in the front and the publicist is telling you people want to talk to you and you at the Grammys, right? And when you were unknown, you were talking to Black media. Right.
All up in there.
All up in there. Oh man, I can't wait to come on. Oh man, wow, man, great. And then when you're big, you forget about us. And you run over there to people, you run over there to Vogue, you run over there to them, and you leave out the people who protected you, who allowed you to make those mistakes and patted you on the back instead of pushed you.
Right.
You forget about those people. And we wonder why our celebrities, after their expiration date, after their commercialization ends, they fall off. People are like, where is it now? Where's Jaquan? Where's Chingy? Where's such and such? Well, when you lose your base, when you lose your foundation, when you lose people who propped you up, the same people you see going up, same people coming down.
Right. All day, every day, man.
So that's why I say, going back to Trump has been very strategic. And I have to say this, we got to stop calling him stupid. And you know this, I said on the show all the time. And people say, I was like, don't underestimate this dude.
Right. No, for sure.
This dude is dangerous, man. He is dangerous because he has no morals.
Right. And like you said, that's the most dangerous part. And I think, like, well, first of all, like, he didn't get to where he's at by being stupid. And if you watch him, now you can make the argument that he's ignorant, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, look at it. He's a 70-year-old rich white man that doesn't have to answer to anybody. They can't nobody cancel him. You know what I'm saying? Like, he wasn't supposed to be here anyway, so you know what I'm saying? Like, they can't really check him or tell him nothing. So, but as far as stupid, that's the mistake that people made in 2016, thinking that there was no way that he could get in the office and that Hillary was inevitable. You know what I'm saying? And then now in 2020, people making the same mistake and thinking that him getting out of office is inevitable as well. I don't know.
Think about it, brother. He's been on TV every single day for the last month, if not 2 months. He has dominated the news coverage, and you have trapped in the house.
Right.
This is the time for him to be making statements. And think about it. The people who saved him in South Carolina, the Black people, are the most affected by Corona. And has he made one specific statement that we can hold on to and say this is a staple of leadership?
Nah, man. Just I appreciate y'all for keeping me in the race.
Hey, man, thank you, man. I'm gonna go ahead and collect the checks. So
Yeah.
and that goes to and speaks to the lack of having a message. And the reason why Black media is in the position that they're supposed to be in, to say to our people, yeah, I know you want a Tootsie Slide. I know you want a TikTok. But right now, we need to put pressure. We need to apply pressure. We need to be saying to these elected officials, hey, whoever you are, whatever party you are, these are our interests. These are our messages. This is our agenda, and we want to get it done. And if you can't do it, then you're done.
Out of there. Out of there.
And let me say this, brother, because I think it's important to go back to this piece, is that over the last month, many of us have been quarantined. We've been sheltered in place. And I guarantee when you think about the content that has caught the consciousness of pop culture and the human beings on this planet, from Teddy Riley to Babyface, Be Nice, right? And all of these battles that we've seen from our brothers and sisters setting the pace and the temperature of the culture. When we see all of these things transpire, you say to yourself, wow, why is that not on a Black media outlet?
Right. Man.
Why are we, even if it got less people, it would be more. Because it would be more for the culture.
Right.
And Instagram don't even have enough respect for us. They won't even let it go to the levels that it could go to. They kept shutting brothers down.
Right. Stop
algorithms.
Stop them from playing their own music.
Man, I'm telling you, they keep killing them. Why? Because they don't want it to get too powerful. Because somebody like me might say, hey, you can create your own.
Right.
And you in the places, and see, that's the reason why Black professionals, celebrities have to work with Black media. That's the thing. We really don't understand the channels, because the way it's working is Black professional celebrities, they want to become commercial. They want to get to, you know what I'm saying, the national level. They want to be mainstream. So in being mainstream, they never think about owning and controlling their own thing and being able to control their messaging. One of the things that the Rolling Stones has done, and I know we haven't had concerts lately, but I guarantee when we do, if they're living, they're going to be filling out stadiums. They're not filling out rooms. They're going to be filling out stadiums. It's because they have generational support. You go there, you might see a 20-year-old with his grandpa.
Right, for sure.
And both of them will be jamming the music.
Right.
I can't get no. And that's Black music. That's from Black people.
Right.
That white boys in England studied and saw the brilliance, saw the genius, and saw how they could do a cheap interpretation of it and become international celebrities.
Bang.
Today, you have Black people who don't know who Muddy Waters was. Who don't, the only time they hear Otis Redding is on Watch the Throne with Kanye and Jay. And that's why it's so important for you to have a media that makes these messages important, so that you can contextualize what happened then, what's happening now, and you can prepare for what's happening next. Like I say, people ask me, you know, is this going to happen again? Of course, it's not stopped, because until you get understanding of what has happened, you'll always be a victim and behind the curve. We talk about many brothers and sisters have been talking about 5G, and they've been talking about, you know what I'm saying, all this and all of that. And I say to them, okay, I agree with you. Let's say that's true. What are you going to do? Oh, well, see, my job is to get out the information. Oh, they tell me. And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Too much, man. I'm saying it's too much. So, no, it's not just important to know. Also to know what to do. Right. And to be able to do that in a way in which protects you and your family for the future. right?
Sure.
If that's true, then what plan, what message are we going to send to our people so that we can begin to become more proactive? Now, I'd like to share with you some things I think that would be very effective in terms of what we can do to correct and rectify this situation.
Bust it down. Bust it down.
You know, and let me say this, because I know people gonna take it as they should. I don't mind them. You know, just give me a works cited. You know, let a brother know, hey, you know, said that. You know, and the reason why I said it is not because of me, but because so we can get into the habit of starting to bring up the reality that we need each other and we can learn from each other. I always big up Dr. Amos Wilson. I mean, he's one of my favorite lecturers, favorite scholars that we have, because he taught us about the power of self-love and the fact that he came up in a criminalized experience. Being a black man, they tell you all the time, it's already a strike against you.
Several.
I know you've heard that.
Several strikes
against you. And think about that. Who told you it's a strike against me? What do you mean it's a strike against me? It's a blessing. It's a blessing to be me. It's a blessing to be what I am. It's a blessing to have my story. My great-great-grandfather came up from slavery. He chose his own name.
Right.
100 acres of land or whatever they tell me he had. And we see some of it today. He had some of the baddest women on the planet. That was a bad man. Who you talking about? I come from that. I come from that. Right. No curse.
Right.
Right. Tell me that. You can say that. I don't receive that.
I don't believe it.
You understand? So that's the message that we got to send. And we got to say it with passion. And we got to live it even more passionately so people can believe and know and understand. Wow, that's real. Right. So we can begin to change the formation of what we're thinking and the paradigms that we accept, because many of us accept that lifestyle. And then guess what? When they show us on TV, they show us in urban communities, even though the surveys and the statistics show most of us don't live in urban communities anymore. We live in the suburbs. We live in small towns. We live in rural areas. More than 50% of us.
For sure.
That's what the facts show. And it's important for us to understand and know that one of the things that's infecting us is that we are under the control, many of us in the South, which most of our people live, nearly 60% of people live in the South, we're under the control of governors and lieutenant governors who don't understand black people.
Right. And not trying to understand.
When Dan Patrick says, hey, it's more important things than living, that lets you know, right?
Like, how? How?
Right? Because when he's talking about the things that are going to be affected by this pandemic, it's not anyone he knows or anyone he cares for. No, they're well protected, because this infection is infecting those that are most vulnerable.
Right, facts.
That's one of the things that I wanted to say. The reason why we're most vulnerable is because, think about it. When you go in our communities, very few hospitals, very few places and clinics. And like Malcolm X said, we need a hospital more than anything, because we got so many sick people in our community, and we push the sickness right under the rug. Uncle Bill touching the babies. He doing all this madness. Nobody say nothing.
Facts. Many places, food deserts.
Man, food. I don't call them food deserts. I call them food apartheid, because it ain't food there. But the food that's nutritious has been separated and segregated from you and your people. Hey, we can get McDonald's. We can get we can
Popeyes.
We can get Popeyes. All of the things that are filled with saturated fats, and all of the things that ultimately lead to diabetes, hypertension, high blood pressure, for those that don't know, and then all of the other things and ailments that create pre-existing conditions that make us more susceptible to pandemics, make us more susceptible to infection. And then when you look at in African-American communities, by and large, we're closer and nearer to factories and chemical plants. The air is more polluted. Do you know the cleanest city in the world right now is LA?
Wow.
The
Wow.
cleanest city in one of the most polluted places on the planet.
Wow.
And over the course of the last 2 weeks and 2 weeks before that, one of the cleanest cities in the world because they shut everything down. And you got to think about, in most of the communities that those factories were in were primarily minority, if not all Black. And we have found through the research, and again, this is where media comes in to express these messages, that those that live in suburban communities, they live 3 to 5 years longer because they're not breathing in polluted air. You know how many African Americans we know, we meet that have some kind of respiratory condition like asthma, or something like that, an autoimmune deficiency. And I had an aunt that transitioned courtesy of this COVID-19. She had a pre-existing condition called lupus. And many of our people are suffering from these things, and they're not being addressed effectively because of the lifestyle and the environment that we're living in. I'm not saying it won't have some that are affected by it, but it doesn't need to be disproportionate. It doesn't need to be to where we're at the top of high blood pressure, to where we're at the top of heart disease, to where we're at the top of strokes and heart attacks, to where we're at the top of infant mortality. Why? Because everything in our situation is out of control. So to give you one solution that can help you or help us as a people is we can mandate that the healthcare system, and preferably our governmental system, offers more free mobile sites in our communities, going to our hoods, going to these suburban areas, which many of us live in, going to these areas, having testing on site. And then after you get the test, don't just say, hey, man, we'll pray for you and we hope you're feeling well. No, have a care package like we used to do back in the days. Fruits and vegetables and other things that can begin to make the body more alkaline. And then have training sessions. We can do it via Zoom on how people can begin to cook and exercise during a pandemic. We need to have our personal trainers get online and say, hey, I'm spending the next hour. Get up. I need to work out with you. We need to have our nutritionists and our dietitians to say, hey, we're going to make a meal together. We need to have our pastors and our ministers say, hey, we're going to open the church and give you fresh fruits and vegetables from the farmer's market that we co-opted with. And we're going to take some of those tithes and offerings. We're not going to add to the building fund this year.
Not this year. Leave it off. Leave it off for 2020.
We're going to put money. We're going to put money in growing our own fruits and vegetables. And if we're in certain states, we might grow other things to compensate for the resources that we've lost. And one of the critical and key things that we have to begin doing, we have to find out who our local and elected officials are nationally to begin getting them to impel these research centers to collect demographic data. Because you know this in your profession and any profession on the planet that's worth anything, you can't make any decisions without the appropriate research and development.
For sure.
You have to have the data. We don't have enough data to know exactly what's going on. It was weeks and weeks before they compiled racial data. And once they found out the data said that it was more African Americans being affected, what did they do? They said, oh, we need to open up the what? The country.
Bring them back.
So we need to have internal data and data that gives us correct information to see what the hotspots are, see what the tendencies are, see what the pre-existing activities are that created an environment that makes us more susceptible to all of these things that we've mentioned. And then one of the most important pieces that's never talked about, we can create equity grants. If the government is giving $2.2 trillion, they're thinking about giving another 350 million or billion or whatever the case it is.
Right.
Why in the world are there not equity grants? Why are there not packages for those communities, especially Blacks, who are being ravished by the pandemic? Wouldn't it make more sense those that are more susceptible get more support?
Right.
Those
Right, for
that are
sure.
jeopardized get the more opportunities and possibilities. How
For
in the
sure.
world are we left to fend for ourselves? You got Puff Daddy and you got the Surgeon General thing. They will, y'all just stay inside. Don't drink no alcohol. Don't drink no, don't smoke no cigarettes.
Yeah, don't get faded.
Back to sin.
Right.
There are things that we can do. There are things
Right.
that we've always done. We don't have
Right.
to sit and wait for Dr. Anthony Fauci to tell us to do this.
For
We
sure.
know what we need to do, and let's do it. You understand? If we need to be outside, we can stand 6 feet apart and exercise.
Right.
Begin to put good foods in our body and begin to take the mental health and the spiritual health and wellness that we need to put ourselves in the best position possible. Because, you know, I don't want to sound all metaphysical, but I do think it is a part of our reality. We've always been a very spiritual people. And when you have a spiritual people acting very unspiritual, you have some now think about it. Think how much unconsciousness we see in the so-called conscious community.
Right.
From the so-called leaders.
Right.
The so-called individuals who are supposed to be deep. Who are supposed, right. And guess what? Think about this. We've allowed Hotep, which is the father of real medicine from what we know, right? Not your boy Hippocrates.
Right.
He learned from him. He spent 2 years with him getting all the game. And think about this. We've allowed that term Hotep, which we know is a form and for a variant of peace, right? You know, people want it to be peace and blessings and all of the good things that we know that bring healing and protection. And we've allowed now people to say Hotep as an epithet, as a derogatory. Oh, he's a Hotep, right?
Right. You Hoteps.
You are Hotep. That's because no direction and we're off message. When we get up there, they don't see any difference. They saying the same words they saying.
Right.
You're doing the same thing they doing. And the difference is you sit up here convicting and pointing your finger at them.
Right. Pointing your finger at the pastor, but doing the same thing.
Doing the same thing. Doing the same exact thing. And that's what happens when you get co-opted and you get off message. And that's why it's so important for us to understand conversations like this have to exist. Because if they don't, then what we're doing is verified, it's validated, it's confirmed, and now it becomes a part of our code of conduct. And you'll see the next person get on there and expose this person, spend hours somebody else. Are you serious? We got grown men doing videos about other grown men that they've never had conversation with.
Right.
Where in the world does that work? What kind of madness is that?
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm not trying to hate on nobody. I'm just saying, and the worst part about it is you'll have another brother share the video or put it in your inbox and say, hey, man, watch this. What you think about this? Man, I don't know about that. That's garbage in, garbage out. No, we need power in, power out.
Yeah.
Be able to realize this is critical. We need to protect it. We need to not infect it, but protect it.
Not infect it, protect it.
Protect it. And the first thing we do is we begin to eradicate from our mind and from our consciousness and from our validation center people who are not conscious and not centered on peace and expressing a message that stays on message. I guarantee it. If you eliminate all the people who are bringing you lemons, I guarantee you will elevate. And if you can't eliminate them, then you take those lemons and you turn them into lemonade.
Right.
Turn it into lemonade. So when somebody brings you that negative energy, you transform it. And you say, no, man, I'm not buying it. I'm not feeding it all that. I'm changing it up, man. I'm transforming, because what we have to understand is is that it's not an accident that we go in our communities and we see the deprivation that we see. Because when you see that, brother, first thing you see, man, this is crazy. Man, I don't want to be over here. This is bad. This is terrible. And you begin to weaken your immune system automatically because you weaken your spirit and you weaken your mind and it weakens your body. And your body can become now infected by the pollutants and the viruses and bacteria that have been sometimes imparted to destroy you. So what we have to do in this present time, faced with what we're faced with, we have to have a moratorium on exposing people. We have to have a moratorium on all this madness and fighting and begin to say, okay, look, how can we synergize? We see it's going down in Detroit. We see it's going down in New Orleans. What can we do to help? We're here in Houston. What can we do to help New York? What positive energy can we send? Can we do a concert? Can we sit, you know what I'm saying, on a computer and begin to just read spiritual scriptures from some text, whether it be the Quran or whatever? We link up with brothers and sisters there to begin to formalize the synapses that will begin to create unity. And I'll just say this, brother, and I appreciate you so much for letting me run my mouth. But
oh yeah, go ahead.
But if you find a people that are unified, if you find a people who are cohesive, if you find a people who are synergized, if you find a people who are one, then there's no virus, there's no germ, there's no army that will win in the end, because they will fight and fight and fight and fight. That's what our immune system does. If it's strong, if it's functioning, your white blood cells and all those other cells are going to fight like hell to protect you. And it's not until they become compromised, it's not until the virus takes over the host and destroys it within. Think about that. It destroys it within and begins to decimate it and divide it and then denigrate its power. Then the body becomes weakened, and something that used to make you sneeze can turn you into
right. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It's hitting hard.
Right. So we don't realize that. They made sure in 1996, when they took control of the airwaves, and 32 million people this week, 32 million African and American people listen to the radio. They made sure that you're going to hear the same songs everywhere.
Over and over and over.
The same messages over and over again. They made sure when they took over the only stations we had, they made sure when they took over the only TV station we had, they gave us images that made us afraid of our young men, menace to society. From the hood, right?
Right.
From the hood.
Right.
All of these things that made us afraid to be around each other. And they find ways, if they do put a conscious brother on there, they make him look insane.
Right.
Message.
Right.
So you don't want to gravitate to that because that's not cool.
Right.
We gravitate to the man that's got his pants hanging down. When in other societies, they know exactly what to call that. That's a
right. For sure.
So you see these things transpire, and then you see the desires of your woman become not rooted on trust, not rooted on love, not rooted on respect, not rooted on a man standing up with valor and fighting all of your enemies. But no, the man that can buy things for you.
Right.
The man that you understand what I'm saying? The man that can something, right? That you don't even own and control, that somebody could rip off your neck or rip out of your house or take from you, rather than those things that can never be taken. Those things that can never be replaced. Those things that can never escape. You see what I'm saying? So your children are not taught your stories, but they know Toy Story.
Right. Right. In his story.
Who your grandfather was, who your grandmother was. No, they know who Caillou's grandmother is. You understand? They know Sesame Street, but they scared to live on the street that they're in.
Right.
We haven't stepped up and been who we needed to be because we've been too tapped in and too programmed into this machine, into these messages that they send us that tell us that we're inferior and we're weak. And I want to say this because I think it's important. I've been saying it for almost 10 years now. We have to stop saying the word integration. And I said, this is the only thing I'll debate on anybody on because it's so detrimental because I see people putting out work saying integration failed and King was wrong and disparaging King and all of these kinds of things. And I think it's important to say this because those brothers were 50 years, prior to us, right? And their messages needed to be refined, right? For this time in this season. And we shouldn't be saying they were wrong and disparaging them and criticizing them. No, we should be learning from them, right?
Pushing it forward.
Right, pushing it forward and saying, thank you for carrying the torch this far. If you're in a relay, you don't sit back and say, hey man, you could have ran it farther and you could have taken me far. No, you grab it to where it was and you start running. Right. So why am I saying what I'm saying? I'm saying that the brother's blood had to be shed. And the things that he was desiring and requiring, they weren't achieved in their fruition, but that was for us to carry on with. Not to sit there and say, damn, nigga, you didn't do everything, man.
Right. Why you didn't free us?
You're supposed to do something.
Right.
You can't sit up here and wait for somebody else to take care of you. So that's in messaging. So that everyone knows you're not here for you. You're here for the next generation.
So
do something so that their situation can not just be better, not be brighter, not be bigger, but that they have a greater responsibility to do even greater for the generation that comes after them. So why am I saying this? I'm saying this just to say that when they gave Brown versus Board of Education and the NAACP, a lot of people have problems with them, and I won't even go into that. But I'll say this, you know what I'm saying? That when they got that ruling about finding that separate but equal was unconstitutional according to the 14th Amendment, and the things that were included in that, I think, are important. It never said integration, which means that all of the parts become whole, where each equal entity now becomes a part of an integral process in which they have leverage and respect, and they're able to control their message and how that is expressed. No, that didn't happen. What you had was segregation, which is a superior controlling the dynamics of an inferior, even if that inferior is by themselves. So that's why when you have a Tulsa, we had to stick with ourselves and we had to work with ourselves. And we were able to distribute the dollar, but that dollar meant nothing to any white man. A white man could come in that community at any time and have any black woman he wanted.
Right. And
there was pretty much nothing we could do. And even the black forces were told not to arrest white people. You see what I'm saying? So it was an artifice. And now you have people saying the artifice is better than what exists today. And that's not a detriment to what was done. That's because we didn't do our part to carry it on. There was more that needed to be done. And what we have to do first and foremost is to understand it was desegregation, which means the power relationship stays the same. So you still have a superior. It's just that now the inferior is able to come or assimilate to the dominant culture. They are now able to go into the same movie theater. They can go into the same restaurant. They can sit on the same toilet. But economically and politically, It's totally unequal. It's so many inequalities that we can't survive. And then the most important piece that I want to say, and I'll close out right here because I know you know, I've been running my mouth, but it's that in desegregation, the inferior does not control their message, so that the superior controls the message and is able to create programming, which the inferior to be the pawn of the superior in all of the aspects and dimensions of life.
Man.
Not until we begin to understand the difference, that nothing changed in terms of power relationship.
At all. At all. At all.
So that when we are messaging, we have to make sure that we are messaging to let our people know, why have you went to sleep at the wheel? Why are you on cruise control? This entity has become more advanced in controlling you, because now the tools that they use to control you, you give unto yourself freely.
Just give up. Man.
Let's accept.
Man, so powerful, man. Man, I got about 2 minutes left. But before we get out of here, man, I want to give you a chance to talk about You Are Powerful, man.
Hey, we can
because
about it, man, you know what I'm saying? I definitely want people to tap into it. You know what I'm saying? We wanted to, you brother, you know, man, I used to bombard you in the morning with a whole bunch of messages.
You know, and I love it. I love it.
Hey, you know, I loved it too, but my phone didn't love it. I used to have to go through 3 or 4 different phones, you know what I'm saying? But it was worth it. It was all good. And, you know, it led me to understand the power of meditation. And, you know, I just wanted to quickly say to our people that something that you can do right now, because we want to give you some workables, and I don't have time to go through all of them, but I would say this, is that the most powerful tool we have is not in our shed. It's not in our utility belt. It's right here between our ears. And if we can tap into our mind with the power and the frequency that I know we possess, then we can get the messages necessary to clean up this mess that we're in. And then we will understand truly who are our friends, and we'll be able to combat better our enemies, because we'll understand truly who we are. And that's what we are. We are powerful, and you are powerful. You are the one that you've been waiting on, and there's no more time to wait or waste. So this book is all about that. And you definitely can email me at SEDTRUTH, that's said truth at Yahoo, and get a copy so that we can begin to not only elevate and gravitate to a higher energy, but we can do what the Freedom Journal did in 1827, and that's combat the negative images and energy that people are trying to betray on our people, and betray the kind of positivity that represents and reflects who we truly are, because I truly believe that we are made with the same power and light that you see in the sky of the stars. So I love you, brother, and I hope that all brothers and sisters have the energy and don't understand that you are powerful.
Come on, man. It's been said, man. Hey, man, that's what you do, man. Like I said, man, I hope everybody enjoyed this conversation, man. We definitely gonna have to hook up some more because, you know, it's funny because this is how our regular conversations go. You know what I'm saying? Like whether we online or not, it's always passionate. It's always informative. Man, Brother Sid, man, let people know how they can reach you, where they can check you out. So that they can definitely support you.
You know, I finally tapped into IG. I'm still not very good at it, to be honest with you. You know what I'm saying?
Me neither.
IG is a whole nother beast right there, man. You know what I'm saying? I got some whole things, but I ain't got time. But it's been said, ITZBEENSED, and you can always tap in on Conscious Mindset. Just punch Conscious Mindset on Facebook, or, you know, SEDRICKKEELER. And I just want to say thank you, dear brother. You're an amazing individual, and you really are striving and doing everything that not only I appreciate, but hopefully one day I'll be able to emulate. So I'm definitely walking in your footsteps.
Oh man, well man, I appreciate you, brother, man. Like you said, you're always welcome whenever you wanna come through, and we'll get you on again, man.
Well, down.
Well, hey,
Same thing on my end, man. So I appreciate you, brother, and we'll definitely chop it up soon.
For sure. Well, man, make sure that y'all check us out at melanatedilluminated.com. Check out Conscious Mindset going down every Sunday, 90.1 FM, or you can also get that at kpft.org. Finna leave out of here on some good old Preach Black. You know what I'm saying? This really rap challenge. Shout out to Preach Black. Shout out to Big Fats. Audio intelligence and a place to be. Well, I'll let your boy peace.
I'm picking half lotus to pose, backwood screaming. Light is all outdoors from morning to evening. Hey, I leave them whipping and bleeding. Say the word and I'll abbreviate the alphabet from A to K. Better adjust your grind today. Big fish and get your flounder ass filleted. Drillmatic, still at it and still throw. Philosophical, analytic, and still flow. I touch a record like a Swedish massage. I dress it well like it needs a corsage. But if it need a barrage, I pull it lag right up out the garage. Because at night, black on black camouflage. Sabotage your whack rap. Everybody claiming real low. I'm stiff with these 10 like a steel toe. I'm a second, all black, straight cap. I earn my stripes when rappers really rap. I'm preaching.
I remember when we used to really rap.
No, back in the gap.
I mean, niggas used to really rap.
We used to really get it.
Used to freestyle and fall off if nobody backed door. Hold up, I'ma bring it back.
Hold up, screw.
That's when niggas used to really rap.
I mean, niggas used to get down.
I mean, we really used to really rap. Yeah. Used to freestyle and fall off if nobody backed door. Hold up. I'ma bring it back.
Bring that bitch back, man. I'm ready.